live only on DAZN, July 12th. Ring 3, Berlanga versus Shiraz and Stevenson versus Cepeda. They're in their prime, they're hungry, and they're done being called the future. Berlanga versus Shiraz, Stevenson versus Cepeda. Ring 3, live only on DAZN. Buy now at DAZN.com/boxing.
Oscar Bevis for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available on DAZN. What's happening, G?
I'm all good, my bro. Wow, did we live it up in Istanbul. And we even went to bed early-ish.
Did we?
Well, we were in bed by 2 a.m. You know my rule. 3 a.m. in bed on my own. Boom. 5 hours to 6 hours sleep. Happy the next day.
Do you know what? It was a quality trip. I'm still a little bit sunburnt, but I've got to say, shout out to the IBA.
I thought you were just blushing.
It was a proper good trip, and I will say it was like a who's who, wasn't it? It was the Gypsy, Terence Crawford, Roy Jones, Shannon Briggs, Carl Froch, Conor Benn. It was an event done properly, wasn't it?
It really was. Great victory for Jazza Dickens. It was a great event to be at. They really pulled out the stops. It was fantastically organised. Did you mention Terence Crawford or not?
Yeah, Bud. Bud was there.
Yeah, Bud Crawford. It was literally a who's who of great boxers. You mentioned all the big names there, and obviously the big news that came out of it was Turki Al Sheikh had been on FaceTime with Tyson Fury and Spencer Brown, who was out there with him, and it seems to have generated a lot of interest and has got the old Gypsy King off his very comfortable plush billionaire's sofa. And back into the ring again, not just for keeping mentally and physically in shape, but for looking like he's going to have maybe 2 or 3 fights.
Yeah, I mean, he done a big media scrum on the second day, and he showed no regret about the fight with Anthony Joshua not happening. Obviously, like you said, instead chasing that number 3.
Thus far.
But he was more focused on chasing that number 3 with Oleksandr Usyk. How does that sit with you, Gareth? Because it's not by any means a small fight, but it's still not Anthony Joshua, and we have seen 24 rounds of the Gypsy King and Usyk. So how does that sit with you?
Logically, it doesn't sit right that he fights Oleksandr Usyk next. Conventional wisdom, if you think like a promoter or you think like a boxing fan, promoters are there to augment and enhance the careers of their fighters, but also entertain the public. The logical 3 fights, and this is what will happen. It won't be Oleksandr Usyk next for Tyson Fury. Win, lose or draw against Daniel Dubois. Here's the roadmap. Tyson Fury might fight this year in a tune-up. Say, I've said it to you already, it might not be this guy, but it might be someone like this. Kubrat Pulev, like a Kubrat Pulev. It won't be an Ajit Kabayel, it won't be a Joseph Parker, it won't be a Derek Chisora, it'll be someone like Kubrat Pulev. The next logical fight for him, with Anthony Joshua maybe fighting Deontay Wilder, even though people say, oh, there's too much risk with that, it might get in the way of Fury Joshua, is Joshua next. That is the next fight. That's the second in the 3 that we're talking about. In the meantime, Oleksandr Usyk has beaten Daniel Dubois, let's say. I'm not saying he does. I am picking him to win marginally. Daniel Dubois, very dangerous for the first 5 rounds. Usyk wins. Then he fights, say, a Parker or a Kabayel, and he wins that. Late next year, we eventually see Fury and Usyk at the end of Fury and Usyk's careers, and at the end of Fury's 3-fight deal with Turki Al Sheikh, that I don't think will net him less than, let's say, $200 million US. He's got it all. He's got all the ballpark there. I do not see any reason why that date he's mentioned in April at Wembley next year will be him and Oleksandr Usyk. Not unless he fights Joshua this year. Not unless Usyk decides after this he's going to have one more and then fight Fury next year. But they'll stretch it out longer than that. Not deliberately, but he'll need that time in between. That's how I see it anyway. And I think it's logical.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear to see.
You agree or disagree? I mean, how do you see it?
That sounds like a much more logical roadmap than just say in April 2026 Wembley Fury-Usyk 3. It's clear to see that, and we knew this anyway, that he still holds that grudge. Right? He said he's watched both fights 250 times, and each time he thinks he won by 5 rounds. Does he believe that, or is he?
Well, I lol. I did a lol. I did a lol because I did a lol because I love him and I admire him. You know that everybody knows I get on with Tyson, and we had a great time there, and it was great to catch up with him. And as he said to me in the hotel, we were all staying at the same beautiful
Rixos Tehran?
the Rixos Tehran hotel, enjoying Naomi Campbell on the red carpet. Gore, did Joe Pugh gorp, didn't he? Gore, can I say that? Gore, and
At Naomi
you did a
Campbell
bit of
or
gorping.
everyone?
I mean, listen, if you're a super middleweight, you've got a beautiful partner who's Naomi Campbell-esque in her own way. Um, you were gorping on the red carpet. I had to pull you off the red carpet and tell you to stop gorping.
Right, Gareth, anyway, we were talking about boxing, weren't we?
Yeah, no, but we were also talking about Naomi Campbell being at the IBA press conference and the Gypsy Kings music and um, the no, talking to Tyson Fury there, I think he's having a bit of fun with everyone as well. His exaggeration of winning by 5 rounds and watching it 250 times um, is his view on it is simply that um, he feels really like it's stuck in the craw that he lost that fight, that he didn't fulfill his wishes in the second contest. Um, the first fight was dramatic and brilliant, of course. The second fight, Usyk outboxed him, and I think he was a fair winner by 2 rounds. In my scoring anyway. I know people had it wider than that. Um, but all it is a sign of his intent that he wants to have the third fight. And I think it's viable, but it's not viable to dive straight into. It's not viable to dive straight into um, if Usyk beats Dubois. Fury needs a win. He's coming off a loss. Can't fight for all the world titles having just come off a loss against Usyk, no matter how good he is, who he is, what he says, or what people think inside the industry. He needs a win. He needs a win first.
I mean, we're still wondering if he actually will come back. Like he said to you, Gareth, how long's a piece of string?
Yeah, exactly. He hung me up to dry. Oh, thanks. Yeah, oh, thanks for
Sorry.
reminding me.
Sorry.
Yeah, that dropped like a lead turd. I said, come on, stop teasing us. When are you going to come back? Just for you, Gareth. Just for you, Gareth. How long is a piece of string? And at that point, it was a mic drop from him, and I scurried round the back and got out of that media room.
I was going to say, at least us UK guys who were there know how close you two were, so it did seem a bit more like he didn't just mug you off. Do you know what
No,
it
it's a
is?
tease. Look, well, you know what's weird? We're only just in early July, and he fought in December against Oleksandr Usyk, and it feels like Fury's been away forever, doesn't it? Weirdly, because he's such a larger than life character, he brings so much entertainment to the sport. That press conference that they had for IBA, they were up on stage. Terence Crawford was sitting up there, barely said a word. Rashida Ali was up there, Umar Kremlev, Al Siesta, Andy Clark was hosting it. That went on 3 hours. Do you remember? Went on 3 hours. And Fury was like, he was holding court, wasn't he? He was entertaining everyone. He's the great entertainer. We will miss him so much when he's gone. And I think if we missed him the last 7 months, that's why it's felt quite a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I asked him if he'll be at Usyk Dubois next Saturday, and he said to me, he was like, I haven't been to boxing. I don't really want to go to boxing. With this April 2026, I say announcement, with the murmurings of April 2026, he has to be there at Wembley next weekend, right? Surely.
Well, you tell him. It's up to him. I mean, I've asked Frank Warren. I assume he's going to be there in the 83,000 crowd that's amassed already. It'll probably go up to 90 by the time we get there in 12 days' time. Big week of big build-up next week. And I'm fascinated to see how Daniel Dubois is going to be around Usyk and whether he gets stuck into him every day with Don Charles. I think he should be there. I hope he's there. He belongs there. And if he wants the third Usyk fight, he should be in there getting in Usyk's face. Should be there all week. Well, how great would it be if Fury was doing a David Haye all week and popping up at workouts and press conferences and wagging his finger? And trouble is, he's too rich, too famous, and too Netflixed right now to probably be doing that. But I'm sure he'll be there ringside on the night.
Yeah, just finally on Tyson, is it just kind of classic Gypsy King that it's quite hard to keep up with the narrative nowadays? It changes often.
It's always changed. He's always been unpredictable. That's what makes him so spectacular. That's what makes him such a character in this period. And he lights up when the cameras come on. He's a quiet guy other than that. You saw him in the foyer of the giant foyer of the Rixus. Photos with everyone, schmoozing, time for everyone, standing about, having a laugh, having fun. Wearing all those great suits that Nav puts together for him, Claudio Lully. No, it was a pleasure to be around him. I did say to him last week, it's good to see him enjoying himself because he is going to have to get serious again and get into camp. He's been on holiday with the family. He's enjoyed his time with Paris. It's time to get back to war now. Time to get back to work, Tyson. Time to get back to finishing off your career properly. Even though he says he's got nothing more to prove, nothing else ultimately to achieve, something's bugging him. And it's the fact he lost to Oleksandr Usyk twice. He says he's been the victim of judging decisions. Let's get in there and flame improve it then. I'm not going to swear, but let's see it. Get back into camp. Talk is talk. We know he can walk the walk. Get back in there. Let's get it done. 3-fight deal. Turkey Al Sheikh. Get the millions in the bank again and just finish off the era properly. Joshua, a tune-up fight. Joshua, Oleksandr Usyk by the end of 2026. Right. I only agreed to talk about Tyson Fury today, so I'm done.
I was going to say amen. That was quite a rousing speech. If he's not going to come back now, he's never coming back.
No. I think that's why Turkey Al Sheikh acting like he did, seeing him over there at the IBA press conference with our Umar Kremlev, who put out a statement, a press conference this week. You'll have seen it, that they'd like to sign him to have a fight for them as well. But I can guarantee you this, and this comes directly from the words of Spencer Brown, who I spoke to yesterday when I put that press release to them from EBA. He said, this is quoting Spencer Brown, our loyalty, myself and Tyson, our loyalty lies with Turkey Al Sheikh. That's where Tyson's loyalty lies. We may have a fight in Moscow at some point in the future. We may fight under the IBA banner, but our loyalty lies with Turkey Al Sheikh if he wants to sign us and be on his cards. Direct from Spencer Brown.
There we go. Direct from Spencer Brown. I know you said you're only going to talk about Tyson, but I do want to talk about Jack Catterall, Harlem Eubank. Is it fair to say it wasn't the most watchable fight in the world? Is that correct, or is that even an understatement?
Well, the cuts on the eyebrow was as bad as the Tyson Fury fight in Vegas.
Are we centering this all around Tyson today, Gareth?
Yes, we're centering it around Tyson Fury today. Are you not entertained?
I'm always entertained. All right then. It's good. It's been good to see you, Gareth. I'll talk to you later.
No, next question.
All right then. What did you think of Harlem's criticism of Carl Frampton, suggesting it wasn't right that he was coaching Jack ringside, went into Jack's changing room before the fight, which isn't uncommon, but
we've seen it before with Tyson Fury, we've seen it. This is what happens when it's the Tyson Fury show.
Is this because Harlem went on TalkSport yesterday and you want everyone to tune in to Harlem, Spencer, and Simon.
Simon has over-criticised Tyson Fury at times, but yesterday he was very fair to him. And Harlem was on the Hawksby and Jacob show that I've never seen Tyson Fury on.
Where can I go to stop you talking about Tyson Fury? We've got Taylor Serrano 3 coming up this weekend, Gareth. What do you think we're going to get with those two?
Well, I mean, we've seen Tyson Fury fight at Madison Square Garden in the theatre. I think it was where Steve Cunningham knocked him down, wasn't it?
And we have also seen Tyson in a trilogy before, so.
And we've seen Tyson in a trilogy like Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. It's been two brilliant fights between them. You know, Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor are two brilliant fighters. I think Jake Paul's done a brilliant job of women's boxing. I think Serrano will win this one, even though I had her winning the second one, 6-4, when Jake Paul fought Mike Tyson. But yeah, it's a brilliant card. There's some amazing names on it. I think Jake Paul needs to be congratulated for everything he does for women's boxing. Those 10 2-minute rounds go so quickly. They're really hard to score. And I just think it's going to be another brilliant fight. I'm just regretting I'm working for Talk Sports this weekend and I'm not out there doing the Fight Night show and really kind of regathering all my energies ready for next week because it's going to be a massive week in and around Wembley Box Park. We've got events every day from the Monday to the Saturday, as you probably know already, and it'll be non-stop. And obviously the outcome will dictate what Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua do from there.
I'm not going to get anything else out of you that's non.
Look, the Louis Armstrong Stadium is hosting a big event on Saturday night. We've got to talk about that as well.
I love the needle between Hamza and Edgar Berlanga, by the way, mainly coming from Edgar Berlanga's side, but I'm loving that typical Brit versus American kind of clash of heads.
Do you want me to carry on the theme or not?
I said clash of heads, so you're going to go on.
Well, the same promoter, Frank Warren, is obviously Hamza Shiraz and Tyson Fury's promoter. No, I'm going to get so much stick on this for being the ultimate Fury fanboy today.
I didn't want to say it. I was going to say this isn't doing you any favors when it comes to people saying that you are Tyson Fury's biggest fan.
I'm not Tyson Fury's biggest fan. His biggest fan is John Fury. I can never compete with John Fury as his biggest fan. And I think probably his second biggest, maybe his biggest fan is actually Paris Fury. Brilliant as they are together.
Fan without the second name Fury. Well, I'm
Maybe.
sure someone in the comments will say if Gareth could change his name to Gareth A. Fury, he would.
How do you know I haven't?
Is this just a stage name?
It's just a stage name. My real name is Fury. Yeah. So no, I'll dispense with that now.
So yeah, Hamza and Edgar Berlanga, a really good fight. There's just some, like I said, it's that typical Yank and Brit clashing heads. I like the build up around it.
Yeah, and Belanga's very mouthy, very tenacious. Hits hard, but is not hard to hit. I just sorry, it's a postman. I just think if Hamza was struggling at 160 at middleweight, and the extra 8 pounds will really help him at super middle. He's a 6'5". He says 6'3". He looks 6'5". He's a long beanpole of a thing, but very strong. I think his straight punches and his power, as long as it carries to super middleweight, will augur well for him in this fight. We know that Edgar's only lost once to Saul Canelo Alvarez, and he's got a lot of knockouts on his records. I think maybe 17, something like that, if I remember correctly. I just think this is a moment for Hamza Shiraz to shine. And I know they're looking to build the Hamza Shiraz Saul Canelo Alvarez fight, a 10th British fighter for the brilliant Mexican to fight. Obviously, depending on what happens against Terence Crawford. But no, I think this is a brilliant matchup for Hamza, even though I thought it was very dangerous for him when it was first signed. But a hard fight at super middleweight, Louis Armstrong Stadium. So they'll make it sing. I've been using that analogy a few times. And obviously, as you know, on that card as well, Shakur Stevenson against William Zepeda, and I am a huge advocate of Shakur Stevenson. I think the only guy that beats him is Tank Davis. So I think these two undefeated fighters, both southpaws, will put on a great show. It might be Tom and Jerry, but if Tom outboxes Jerry, if Jerry brings it might be Tom versus Tom, but one Tom might be better than the other. I just think that Shakur is very, very smart. Zepeda will allow him to paint his brilliance on the canvas.
Yeah. In terms of the pressure that's on those two, perhaps for very different reasons, is there big pressure on Hamza because of obviously the Carlos Adames performance and big pressure on Shakur to entertain as such?
Well, I've always said that the boxing gods smiled on Hamza against Carlos Adames in Riyadh, and he got his pass, if you like, on that one. Because I had Adames winning clearly that night. I think 9 rounds to 3 I scored it to Adames. I thought he just did all the work. And Hamza wasn't himself. There is pressure on him. There's always pressure on him because he's being, put up there as, a big rising star in the sport. And, as Frank Warren called him, emblematic of modern Britain, like Amir Khan was all those years ago. And look what the pressure he carried with him all the time, but he loved it. Hamza's a quieter individual, lives the life. I like the fact he's paired up with Andy Lee as his trainer. I think that makes me feel very confident about the fact that he'll have the right game plan. We know Hamza listens to instructions very well. So yeah, there is a lot of pressure on him, like there is on Shakur Stevenson. They both got a lot of pressure on them. Shakur's highly criticised for the way he fights, but he's just so comfortable in the square circle. It's so comfortable in the office that he gets pulled up for it. But he is brilliance itself. He's so comfortable. He makes it look easy. People used to criticize Mayweather all the time, and I was covering him live, but he was so amazing to watch. He was just the little things that he did, the way he stole rounds all the time, his defensive brilliance, pulling out the right lead when he needed to, just brilliance. And I think Shakur's got that. I just think we live in an age where people are critical of Tom and Jerry fights.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that show on Saturday night. Right, Gareth, can we revisit the question about Jack and Harlem?
Oh, on what?
Carl Frampton criticism. I take it you would have seen what Harlem said.
No, I've missed the Frampton criticism. I've missed what Frampton said.
It was more what was Harlem's criticism of saying that Carl was coaching Jack ringside and that he was in his changing room beforehand, and it seemed.
And was he doing the broadcast as well then? Well, it is what it is. Carl Frampton coaching Jack Catterall should not make any difference to Harlem Eubank. He's not the man in there fighting him. So, it is what it is. He was losing the fight as well. He was clearly losing the fight. He couldn't get inside that shell that Catterall creates when he fights. So I don't have any issue with it. He's just looking for reasons to feel better about the loss. Which
the fact that he thought he won the fight, he was kind of half holding his hand up before the decision. He felt he was hard done by when we done the media scrum after. He thought he won that fight.
Well, it's a great attitude. You've got to admire the way he is. He's a very tenacious man who's grown and believes in himself. But I didn't have him winning that fight, I'm afraid. I had him way behind on the scorecards.
Okay.
And I watched it straight live because it was on late. It ran quite late. And bare knuckle BKB in Bolton was over by then. And I'd finished work and got back to the hotel because it was after, I think it started about just before 11, the fight, didn't it?
Yeah, ring walks were 11:15, yeah.
Yeah, they're very late, especially given Eddie Hearn was going to start finishing his cards by 9:30. Where did that go?
Yeah, do you know what? We actually sat there and said this might be where boxing kicks itself in the bollocks a little bit because people
No,
are
it does definitely. The bare knuckle event, 11 fights under 3 hours. And I know it's a different sport, and but it's coming. It's coming because it delivers so much entertainment. And where was Eddie Hearn with all the post-fight interviews as well? He does a couple, he slips up. What's going on with Eddie Hearn? Is he on the slide?
I managed to get 3.5 minutes with Ed
Three
ringside.
and a half minutes. You used to be able to have to fight to stop him talking for 3.5 hours. What's happening to Eddie Hearn? Someone needs to ask the question, what is happening to Edward Hearn? Is he losing the desire to be around and give hours and hours of interviews? What is wrong that Eddie doesn't want to do that?
Do, do,
Doesn't sound right to me.
do you think there's something behind it then? Or, are we just seeing someone
I think we
who
need to start
perhaps had
asking
to
the
slip off
question,
quickly
Oscar. We
this
need to start asking the question, where is Eddie Hearn? Where is Eddie Hearn? The ubiquitous Eddie Hearn is no longer everywhere. Where the fuck is Eddie Hearn when you need him? End of. I'm signing off.
Okay, gone out. Gareth A. Fury. Sorry, Davis. I'll see you very soon, mate.